I'm going to read A Note at the End of My Life and Hard Times by James Thurber. James Grover Thurber was born in 1894 and died in 1961. My Life and Hard Times was first published in 1933. This material is okay to be listened to by children. A note at the end. The hard times of my middle years I pass over, leaving the ringing bells of 1918 with all their false promise to mark the end of a special sequence. The sharp edges of old reticences are softened in the autobiographer by the passing of time. A man does not pull the pillow over his head when he wakes in the morning because he suddenly remembers some awful thing that happened to him 15 or 20 years ago. But the confusions and the panics of last year and the year before are too close for contentment. Until the man can quit talking loudly to himself in order to shout down the memories of blunderings and gropings, he is in no shape for the painstaking examination of distress and the careful ordering of event so necessary to a calm and balanced exposition of what exactly was the matter. The time I fell out of the gun room in Mr. James Stanley's house in Green Lake, New York, is, for instance, much too near for me to go into with any peace of mind, although it happened in 1925, the ill-fated year of horses, 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 and Valencia. There is now, I understand, a porch to walk out onto when you open the door I opened that night, but there wasn't then. The mistaken exits and entrances of my 30s have moved me several times to some thought of spending the rest of my days wandering aimlessly around the South Seas, like a character out of Conrad, silent and inscrutable. But the necessity for frequent visits to my oculist and dentist has prevented this. You can't be running back from Singapore every few months to get your lenses changed and still retain the proper mood for wandering. Furthermore, my horn-rimmed glasses and my Ohio accent betray me, even when I sit on the terraces of little tropical cafes, wearing a pith helmet, staring straight ahead, and twitching a muscle in my jaw. I found this out when I tried wandering around the West Indies one summer. Instead of being followed by the whispers of men and the glances of women, I was followed by bead salesmen and native women with postcards. Nor did any dark girl looking at all like Tondaleo in white cargo come forward and offer to go to pieces with me. They tried to sell me baskets. Under these circumstances, it is impossible to be inscrutable, and a wanderer who isn't inscrutable might just as well be back at Broad and High Streets in Columbus, sitting in the Baltimore Dairy Lunch. Nobody from Columbus has ever made a first-rate wanderer in the Conradian tradition. Some of them have been fairly good at disappearing for a few days to turn up in a hotel in Louisville with a bad headache and no recollection of how they got there. But they always scurry back to their wives with some cock-and-bull story of having lost their memory or having gone away to attend the annual convention of the Fraternal Order of Eagles. There was, of course, even for Conrad's Lord Jim, no running away. The cloud of his special discomfiture followed him like a pup, no matter what ships he took or what wildernesses he entered. In the pathways between office and home and the houses of settled people, there are always, ready to snap at you, the little perils of routine living. But there is no escape in the unplanned tangent, the sudden turn. In Martinique, when the whistle blew for the tourists to get back on the ship, I had a quick, wild, and lovely moment when I decided I wouldn't get back on the ship. I did, though, and I found that somebody had stolen the pants to my dinner jacket.